I'm Dale McCamish, Senior Minister here at Wilmington Church of Christ, and I'm here with one of our elders, Jeff Swearingen. Thanks for joining us. And we're doing these interviews so that our church members can get to know our elders and staff a little bit better. And so we just start with some questions about kind of where you've grown up and how long have you been a part of Wilmington Church of Christ?
Sure. I'm a native of Clinton County. I grew up in the Clarksville area, right around Cowan Lake. Went to Clinton Massey. I've basically lived in the Clinton Massey School District my entire life, except for 3 years of active duty Army. And my wife also grew up in the same area. We met near Cowan Lake, and we've been married now for a little over 32 years. So this is it. This is home for me.
And when did you start coming to Wilmington Church of Christ?
I believe it was 1993.
Now, you didn't grow up in the church. You didn't grow up in this church. How did you get introduced to Wilmington Church of Christ?
Well, that was interesting. I'll have to admit that it was my wife who got me here.
Yeah.
I did not grow up, not only did I not grow up in Wilmington Church of Christ, but I did not grow up in a church home.
Okay.
And my wife did, and she was looking for a church. We had gotten out of the military. I was in active duty Army. And she was looking for a church to attend and ended up here, and kind of reinforced my attendance. So as it turned out, I knew several people here. I had a couple guys that really got me involved in some activities here, and come to love the place.
And then, so it was after you got here and got involved that you fell in love with Jesus.
Yes. I was baptized here at this church at the age of 33.
Awesome.
So this is really the only church home that I've ever known.
So if you were going to tell somebody today that wasn't connected to a church or wasn't connected to Christ, what advice would you give them about how to go about doing that?
I guess the first step is to not be apprehensive about what you think Christianity is.
Okay.
I think a lot of people have a preset idea of what it means to be a Christian. That's one of the things that I learned when I started coming here, that the men here were just like me. They did the same thing. They played softball all the time. That's kind of one of the activities that got me involved in the church. The only difference is they had this faith.
Yeah.
So really, you find out that most Christians, if you're not a Christian, you have this maybe this misconception about what Christianity is. But you find out we're really normal people. We just have this faith in Christ, and we have this, our eternity is secure.
Yeah. Other
than that, and maybe a few other things.
Sure.
We're just like everyday Joes.
So you've been coming here for a little while then. What kind of changes have you seen go through in our community, because you've grown up here, and also this church? What kind of changes have you seen? Or something, maybe one thing that sticks out, because there's probably a lot of changes.
Sure. Probably one thing I've noticed is really what hasn't changed, the consistency in our core beliefs and our doctrines here at this church. I've seen a lot of changes physically to the building.
Okay.
I've seen changes in leadership within this church.
People come and go.
Yes, they have. But the way we go about preaching the gospel, teaching the gospel, how we do our leadership, all that has stayed consistent. And I've been here 27 years.
Yeah.
And all that has stayed pretty consistent. A tweak here, a tweak there, but it's stayed pretty consistent, even though there's been several changes.
Oh, excellent. What about our community? I'm sure you've noticed the community hasn't stayed the same consistently as probably the church has.
Right. I've seen, I've ridden the roller coaster here in the Wilmington area. So, I remember when pretty much you had Frisch's and Cassano's and maybe Burger Chef to go to. Then I've seen it where we've had, 20 different fast food restaurants, franchises, along with all the other things that come with it, and mainly driven by Airborne Express. And then, of course, I was here for when DHL came in, pulled out. So I've seen this kind of dip back down again. So I've witnessed a lot of changes within the community here.
How have you seen churches in our area respond when people are in need, like when DHL pulled out? Or how have you seen our church respond? For example, I know our church does a lot of things to help. Even sometimes monthly, we have missions that help people. Where have you seen churches or our church help when people are in need?
One of the ways that this church helped directly was we created a fund, Brighter Transitions. And that was created pretty much or inspired because of the DHL thing, because of people getting displaced from their home, from losing their job. Their finances took a hit. So that was created in this church to specifically help those who was struggling.
We just used Brighter Transitions just today. There was a family that needed some help with some school supplies, so needed a little financial pick-me-up, and we had them fill out the paperwork. We have a policy on how much we can give and who can receive and how many times we can give during a year, and they met all the criteria, filled out the paperwork, and walked away with the ability to go get some school supplies for their kids. I mean, and that fund from our church is a direct help for people.
Right, and that's one way that we kind of morph and we kind of change. The Brighter Transition was developed for one reason, and then when that need went away, now it's used for other ministries. So we adapt, we change, and do what we need to do to meet people where they have needs.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for answering some questions. If you have some questions, maybe for our elders or for our church, you can email those questions in with the email that's on the screen below, or you can even text the word connect to 937-382-0904, and we'll help you take your next best step to get you closer to Christ, start experiencing some of that basic core belief and doctrine that our church continues to teach and has since its inception. But we appreciate you coming. Thank you for answering questions, and we'll see you soon.